Parents up and down the country wondering just how on earth you explain this to your children. Lots of you have been in touch about this. Michelle says, I have spoken to my children about it because you can't sugarcoat the world's problems and they should be made aware. School trips are a worry. Another viewer asked, how do you strike the right balance without scaring kids? Well, joining me now is psychologist and mother of two, Emma Kenny in Manchester. And Emma, this is very, very close to home to you, isn't it, personally?
Yeah, absolutely. We've all been personally affected in Manchester, but my son, my eldest son and my youngest son both go to school with some of the people who've been very severely affected. One has lost a member of the family, another one was involved with the immediate aftermath of the horror, and just around our corner, Olivia actually lives. So unfortunately, it's been something that's very, very close to home. And it's one of those feelings, both as a practitioner and as a mother, that are hard to almost reconcile in tandem because you can't help but feel very connected to it.
No, of course. What do we do then, Emma? What do we tell our children? I guess a lot of it depends on their age, of course, but it's that thing of being honest without frightening them.
One of the things about younger children, so if you've got preschoolers and primary school children, obviously you always need to approach it on their level. The younger they are, the easier it is to reassure them, to be fair. If you're a parent and you're quite strong and you're assertive and you tell them it's going to be okay and that they're going to be safe, they'll tend to take that as truth because that's how children see parents at that age. You know, you are very much their role model and the truth teller. For older children, you know, when we get into the older ages of primary and definitely secondary, firstly, they have smart technology. So if you're not talking to them about it, somebody else will be talking to them, either through a screen or in the classroom. So having an open dialogue is really important. And one of the reasons for that is children feel if you are hiding and keeping something from them, it's probably as scary than it needs to be. So by openly conversing with them on this, by asking them how they feel and actually exploring where they are, because for some children, they'll be okay. They'll have seen these things happen before. That's not nice. It makes them feel sad, but they also know that life goes on. But for others, the actual experience of knowing that firstly, it was a targeted attack on children. I think we have to be very clear that's what this was, and that distinguishes it between other attacks. That feels personal for kids. So having that dialogue is really important. And just saying, what have you heard? And then diffusing the fears that they have within that, but by also acknowledging it is scary. We all feel a little bit more scared today.
Oh, we absolutely do. Of course we do. And of course, as you said, children take their lead from their parents. And if they're feeling frightened or they're crying or they're watching television and getting very, very upset, then the children are going to take that from them too, aren't they?
Absolutely. Actually, one of the things that parents also need to do is remember that they need to limit their own access to this kind of information. Things like secondary vicarious trauma basically means that you can view images and see videos and feel the empathy that you have and also suffer from post-trauma because of it. So it's really important to kind of digitally detox and take a step back. You know, allow yourself certain information, but don't indulge in it because, of course, that will affect your mood and in turn that will affect your children's mood.
We've seen an increased police presence in the street and there doesn't seem to be, it almost seems to be we're waiting for the next attack. You know, there seems to be no solution to this. We certainly haven't heard that from the politicians. I've actually been appalled by what's been happening because there doesn't seem to be... I'm always asking myself, where are the grown-ups? You know, where are the statesmen? Where are the people that are actually supposed to unify the country? I've not seen much of that. And if I haven't, nobody else has. And that's really difficult then to try and say to them, you are safe, when there's no solution and we don't have any control.
That's a really excellent point. But the truth is that to some degree right now, I don't think they have a solution and I don't think they can reassure us because they've reassured us before that things are going to not happen again and then they happen again. I do think that with kids particularly, what's really essential is to tell them the truth about the authorities that we have here. So there are many opportunities where the police have actually prevented these kind of attacks. This is a situation where one person actually got away with it and a cell potentially were involved. But nonetheless, the secret services and the police in the UK are second to none in hopefully and continually refraining from these things happening. So to some degree, I think young people need to hear that. But at the same time, we have to have a truth because this has happened. Lots of children have lost their lives and lots of families are devastated because of that. And a community itself is devastated because of that. And there is no option to say it's not going to happen again because it was only a month and a half ago that this happened anyway. So we know this is occurring. It's more, how do we, in spite of knowing that this could happen, continue to live our lives with courage and to continue to believe that our communities are, for the majority point, safe? Because if we don't do that, if we stop going to our concerts, if we stop going to work in the jobs that we love, if we stop feeling safe in our communities, they win each and every time. And my son said to me when I spoke to him, because I was in London yesterday after it had happened, and I asked him, I called him in the morning after he'd woken up because I knew he'd be affected, and I said, well, how are you feeling about this? And what he said was, I'm really, really sad, Mummy, but I know I've just got to get on with it. And it isn't taking away the fact that he has real sad feelings. It's an acknowledgement that this is the UK and this is the city of Manchester and this is what we do and this is what we'll continue to do.
Emma, thank you for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.